Yeah, and the Viper is a hero that doesn't really come back into the game, so you're definitely gonna be happy if your hero
Lose
that you're
lane, lose game.
trading off. Yeah, literally, it is like that. Even if he wins the lane, the heroes need to continue going towards him because he's not like a Timbersaw that can get out. He needs to stand his ground. And Dazzle
Yeah.
is actually a perfect hero to exploit that because Dazzle is one of those heroes. You just use your first spell and you run someone down. On level 1 and 2, Dazzle is very strong, whereas on level 1 and 2, the Viper is very weak. So I'm looking at this Tiny as a hero that is going to be needing to secure his lane, or maybe we see an offlane Snapfire and, the Viper on 5 because
Yeah.
this Viper might not have the best of times. Marcy, Dazzle, this to me is looking like a setup for a tri lane.
Interesting. I mean, usually you're picking Dazzle before the double pick. At least in the last few weeks, we've seen this as a repetitive pattern. Now you're picking Dazzle as your dual pick. And with the Weaver, I mean, yeah, you got these extra heal bombs you're coming in with. The Hex is pretty useful. I mean, Hex Shard breaks Mortimer's Kiss's channel right away. So you got a 1500 gold item that basically counters your opponent's teamfight ulti. That's already something to consider. Plus Weaver with the Grave. I mean, free time lapse.
Yeah, it is. Those two heroes work really well together. The only weakness that they have is, of course, people can TP out of them. They don't necessarily do burst damage. They do constant output of damage, but that's why you have the Marcy for solo hero picks, and you have the Puck for the team fight, just for all of them. So I'm liking this Pari Parni approach to the draft. Obviously, mind games are going to be going for a bit more team fight heavy draft, but I have to say, you have the Faceless Void, you have the Tiny. Those are all good at catching the puck. The thing is with the Dazzle in play, if the puck is in the Chrono, he gets graved, and the puck will survive. He's gonna get himself out once the Chrono is done. So I'm not sure if this is the best hero, but Faceless Void can be pretty annoying to these spammers. You know, all of these heroes have very low cooldowns on some of their spells, on most of their spells, and that's where the time dilation comes in. I think the time dilation is going to be the more important spell of the Faceless Void than the Chrono, and that is the spell you pretty much take one level in and then just leave it there for the rest of the game.
Yeah, I totally agree with you with that. Like the combo that you have in this team as well. You've got Mortimer's Kisses into the Chronosphere. You have the Viper with a lot of attack range, especially if you build an extra Dragon Lance. Say Viper wants to build a Hurricane Pike this game, just for the Force Staff capability, but most importantly, the extra attack range to actually enable the Faceless Void just a little bit more. If you really want to get that tick damage onto a very important target, say Puck, for example. Even if you're able to phase shift out for a time being, you still got those dot ticks that will do damage to you after and will also break your Blink Dagger as well. So if you get that tick come just out from the phase shift, for example, you're screwed. So I like what Mind Games' response is to this. But hey, last phase is kicking in. What would you like to see from either team?
Pari Parni need a hero that is gonna be able to stand in front. Tower pusher type hero. I don't know if you can go for something like a DK because you're lacking damage. What is this? A Core Marcy?
So wait, are we looking at a 3 Dazzle maybe? I mean, if you're going for Oracle to finish off your draft, you've got Weaver, Puck, and Dazzle. That's a 3 or a 3. That's a 3 Marcy or a 3 Dazzle for sure. I have no idea why they would go for the Oracle here. If it's mid Oracle.
No. It's Puck mid. It's Puck. That's something that we're certain of. I think it's a Core Marcy.
A man can dream.
I'd rather have a Core Marcy just because I want a fat hero that the Dazzle and the Oracle can get behind. I don't know if Dazzle can get to that point if he's a core, that he is that tanky. If it was the old Dazzle with his old ulti, I'd be fine. But the new Dazzle, I'm just not sure. I'm hoping that this is a Core Marcy right now, and I'm hoping wrong because it is gonna be Pasha on the Dazzle. I guess it's Guardian Greaves time for the Dazzle. It does make sense. Oracle ulti plus the Grave, the heal is gonna be insane. On the side of Mind Games, I don't see people having enough damage to bring down the hero that has been graved and false promised. I don't even think that you kill a hero that has been false promised either until the Void starts doing damage. All of that is fine and dandy, but Aincrad, playing the Tiny, I think is the smart move because you want your Tiny to just slaughter everyone here. If you find the Oracle, the whole lineup of Pari Parni won't make much sense.
Fine and dandy. That looks like the theme for this one as well. It is a best of one, which you do need to take into account. The interesting factor is there any cheese potential? What do you think?
I mean, you know, already this this lineup of Pari Parni is some kind of a cheesy lineup. You know, I do believe that they can win. The only problem I see is that this is a lineup that is very hard to play. Usually with an Oracle, with a Dazzler, you want a lineup that can stand its ground. This lineup is very all over the place. So, you know, the puck can be overly aggressive, get caught and die because no one is close. The same can happen to the Weaver. That is why I'm giving my my vote here to Mind Games, just because I think it's much easier to play this kind of a lineup than the one on the opposing side.
All right. Well, in terms of that, who are you going to jump into this one? Because these are the two lowest win rate teams from the regular season. Pari Parni with 2 individual map victories, Mind Games with 3, then we have Rune Eaters with 6. Do you feel like Pari Parni's got some tiebreaker magic today?
I'm gonna say that they came prepared. They have an idea of how they want to play Dota. They really want to be all over the place, and they want to be able to counter the big ultis coming out from the side of Mind Games. Again, I'm just having my fears for a lineup like this because it can backfire so easily, especially if the Tiny has a good time. And I think that was a really cool decision from Mind Games to say, okay, this is an awesome Tiny mid game because there are a lot of heroes he can burst down from 100 to 0. And there's almost nothing that Pari Parni can do about it. Yes, you can click on the icons of your heroes if you're the Oracle, but the Tiny usually surprises you with the damage and you are not ready to respond.
Well, at least we've got some team movement coming out from Pari Parni, smoked up with 4 on the bottom half of the map. They've got themselves the puck already scouting out for that early movement. He will get revealed with that ward placed down. But Pari Parni's up to something. They run into Petushara, and there's the pings coming out, so this will be a bit of a backfired gank attempt. Oracle was hoping to catch somebody here, but no route into dispose, into the damage from Shikuchi, and the 64 right-click damage over the Weaver. Would have liked to find one.
I just want the immersion in this game to be greedy on the lane with levels. If the Oracle gets like level 5 at 8-9 minutes into the game, him and the puck can kill everyone. That is just the deal. They're gonna be doing so much damage, and you want to have that burst just to finish off heroes. You know, the Dazzle, the Weaver are gonna be poking everyone, and then you want them to kill them. And Mukushi,
they caught the Weaver. That's a 10-second cooldown with the Dragon Tail coming in, and that's gonna be first blood going straight for Mind Games. That was a really good read there with the cookie stun from Slayer, and Mind Games on the board first.
you know, that usually tends to happen when you use the Shikuchi and where you're right on the vision. He, of course, doesn't know where exactly the ward is, but they can know that that it is there on the right side. This is a perfect start for Mind Games. Aincrad getting the first blood. That's basically a free bottle, and this is the hero that I've hyped up that should be the main playmaker for Pari Parni.
Yeah, they want that snowballing Tiny definitely to come out early on, and that is that's something that Mind Games kind of was prepared with these wards placed down. Where is the most likely lane that the Tiny can go to with as less, or at least as few information as possible to give the Pari Parni to react to those potential rotations that the Tiny is going to be looking for. Pretty early damage here as well. 1 armor versus 0 armor. Puck does get a good trade back, at least, here early on. Gotta love these early battles.
Aincrad is trying to force it because he's gonna get the bottle first. So I think the press kit getting pulled into that, he shouldn't be too happy. Obviously, you know, the Tiny has more damage than you, but you'll get more hits in. But the problem is now where he'll get pushed out until his bottle gets delivered.
Yeah. Well, at least in terms of early last hits, DK maybe having a bit of a... Well, DK Viper having a bit of a rough start to say, at least. Well, not too bad. Getting a couple denies, squeezed in between, which is good. Always good against the Weaver. Actually denies the entire wave there, Petushara.
Top lane.
pretty dangerous trade here. The tower also hits the Marcy, so Dino Zavrik will get himself a trade-off. That being a 1-for-1. Slayer's Granny falling down as well, making it 1-for-1 from this lane.
It's a pretty bloody start, you know. I think that definitely favors mind games a bit more.
Yeah.
In a sense that you do want to get some early levels while the towers are still up, you know. So with a lot of kills happening, obviously the experience is going to be higher, and you know, you don't want the towers to start falling and Pari Parni starting to run around the map aggressively. While the towers are up, it's going to be much easier for mind games because they're on a timer. They need a blink dagger on the tiny, and ideally you want some nice levels on your other heroes before that does come to fruition.
Yeah. Also kind of curious about Depressed Kid, who I think he sets up very various results. Remember, he was a big nuisance and the thorn of a lot of Division 2 teams back in Tour number 1 of this season. And he hasn't really kind of got into the flight of the rest of the mid players. Basically just not having the capability as the rest of his, well, a couple of his ex-teammates at least. When we saw Ramses, for example, no longer played for CIS Rejects by the time Pari Parni did get into Division 1. Stuff like that. So I'm curious to see if he really pops off during this series. Right now, it takes a bit of a beating again from the Tiny. Tiny making sure he keeps him low. Heavy trades coming in once again. Not quite enough for a kill, but the real action is actually happening in the top lane. Pasha being chased in the trees. Dino Zavik does have his jump available, but it's going to be an aggressive one. The creeps. He's going to finish him off. That's going to be 20 HP, and he lives.
Nah, the Dazzle will be fine. You mentioned Depressed Kid. I think what Depressed Kid is lacking right now is consistency. That is the difference between him and some of his older teammates. So he is definitely a talented individual, but he needs a bit more time. I think playing...
Oh, it's going to be a pretty close one. The cookie is quite off the target. And are they just going to sack the Marcy? There's the heal bomb, but it's forcing out the jump in. And Pasha just needs a couple more hits, but the stick charge is going to be enough for the Faceless Void to live through this one. So that is a bit of a loss there for Pari Parni. But at least another one in the books for the Mind Games team.
Very nice for them. And Slayer is getting some nice levels as well. Level 6 on the Snapfire is a big deal in the early game. You know, those first or second chrono, it's not gonna be easy. Oh,
bottom lane, they got the stun onto the Weaver at least. Now the right clicks are flying through. Petushara able to close this one out. So you got the Shikuchi, but you have this pesky Sentry Ward placed down here. Fall off with the stuns and then the follow-ups. This is a really tough lane for the Weaver, especially once you've got this Dragon Knight right next to you for the stun.
It's kind of weird to me that Immersion didn't go for a point in Fate's Edict. Of course, you do want to max Purifying Flames, but there are some lanes where you actually can't be on the aggressive. You're up against the DK, you're up against the Viper. These two heroes, they are not going to die, especially with the sticks, and they understand that there's going to be a lot of spell spamming in this lane. So with Immersion going for the Purifying Flames, he has no saves for his Weaver. Sure, you purge off the poison attacks from the Viper, but you cannot stop the damage from another round of it. And I think it was necessary to do it in this lane, but you're just kind of used to going for the Purifying Flames when playing the Oracle.
Man, this is pretty solid from Pari Parni in terms of thinking, how do you sustain enough to win the fight to your advantage? Well, let's start wrapping it up. We've got the Shallow Grave. We've got ourselves Oracle as well with the Fortune's End. And then we have the Weaver as well with the time lapse. And imagine if this core Weaver were to decide to build an Aghanims, for example, in the team. Who is this Faceless Void going to kill when they're all basically just surviving and outliving you?
That is true. The problem I see though for both teams is, you know, there could be some damage issues for both teams for Mind Games because of what you mentioned. But for Pari Parni, you know, if it is not easy for them to finish off targets, let's say if the Oracle isn't having a good time. I'm liking Immersion did go for the greedier approach, and he's been on the lane at all times, so he's level 4. That means he's probably gonna get his level 5 around minute 8-9.
Yeah, potentially. It does kind of boil down the importance of Roshan contesting from both sides, talking about the Axe Shards, the Aghanims buffs. The refresher shards are really good this game as well, but you do kind of have to keep an eye open for. But
Top
Pasha
lane.
is getting surprised from 3 different directions. Just get a nice heal bomb out and a bit of a tick as well with his leveled up ulti. It's not going to be enough to kill any of these 3 heroes, so that
Bottom
is going to
lane.
be death number 1 for the Dazzle in the bot lane. We do have Minecraft with the rotation. Marcy gets hacked out with a tree flying in the air, and Mukushi, he will also be taken out. That's a double kill for the Tiny, and it does surprise Pari Parni
Once
completely off guard. Maybe Immersion as well. Avalanche is ready with the DD, and look at this Tiny just hack away, but he's got the stick charges. He isn't able to heal himself just enough to survive, but still a double kill for the Tiny, exactly what MG wanted.
Man, on this Tiny, the double damage doesn't even show that well. I think that Immersion didn't even see that he had the double damage, so he didn't immediately purge it off with the Fortune Sand. And
Immersion just get ulted and lives. No fake hype.
fake hype,
It's all good.
none at all. None at all. Pasha not getting a single point in Shallow Grave. I actually expected him to have that in 1 point. For me, the Shadow Wave as a spell just doesn't scale that well. I guess you do have the Marcy to put people into the creeps, but
Yeah,
four
yeah.
targets are gonna be there anyways. Yeah, yeah.
So you're one of those value point enjoyers.
No, I'm a value point in Shadow Wave enjoyer because
Okay.
Shadow Wave in my mind doesn't scale at all.
Right, right. I mean, it is kind of a lane basically setup ability in a sense with Poison Touch and Shadow Wave. But I really like the idea of how effective minus armor is early on, which is the reason why I wanted to see a Dazzleator this game. Let's see if we do get to see one. We got that one as the Chrono has been popped at the top lane. Immersion also already dies elsewhere, and Mind Games are just punishing them all around the map. That's going to be quick. 3 kills set for them.
You
MG's
have
on a
the
good roll.
Shallow Grave. If you maybe had the Shallow Grave, I'm kidding, it wouldn't have changed a damn thing, to be honest. It would have been exactly the same. You would have died either way, so I'm not gonna go there now.
Yeah.
Though Mind Games, as expected, they're doing well. Immersion didn't get his level 5. I'm still thinking this Oracle needs to start rotating so they can get kills. The Oracle and the Puck rotate towards the top lane, and they can get something done. Stacking the woods and stuff like that, it's not gonna help because Pari Parni need to be the lineup that is going forward. If they're going backwards, then it's gonna be much easier for the Tiny to catch them.
They gotta get the stolen big enough coming out of nowhere with the Mortimer's Kisses flying on top of the Dazzle. That's gotta be a quick kill again for Mind Games. They're up to 12-2 already here, 9 minutes in. And this is pretty scary for Pari Parni in a sense that you're just not able to fight back. You're basically the kid from primary school who just doesn't have the tools to fight back, and you just end up being, well, we saw Gilgear with the sponsor punching bag.
Yeah, you know the one
I'll
that
tell
comes
you, I
to
was-
school. He comes to school with his nice bow tie and everything is nice, but then these bullies come out from the other side.
bullies.
It's just
These damn bullies. I'll tell you, we're not the bullies with the bow ties, at least. But our first 10 minutes have been played out. Might as well actually take a quick glimpse at the graphs, because I think this is pretty important to take into account already. I mean, for all the mathematicians out there, this is for you people. 22 to 78% currently. It does bode well for the Mind Games roster, but don't believe the hype. Something that you might as well take into account. Bottom lane, Petushara does get initiated on. Quick jump in from the Marcy, and a potential kill coming through, and that does end up being one for Pari Parni. They cannot quite kill this DK though, but they're happy with just smacking down the Viper.
Yep, I'm liking Pari Parni are bringing multiple heroes. The Viper is... I think that's a risky move because in my mind, Mind Games would like to play around the Viper. It's interesting to me that Einkrad isn't going for a Blink Dagger. He's building it to an Echo Saber. I think if there is something that Mind Games could regret in this game, that is not buying the Blink immediately. He pretty much would be getting close to it right now, you know, would have it in a few minutes. And with this kind of an approach, it can be late and allow Pari Parni to actually be the ones on the aggressive, and you don't want that if you're Mind Games.
Yeah, you do not want to let this Puck get out of hands, because Puck is your pre- or sub 20-minute carrier, basically, from the mid lane. As long as the Puck stays alive, and looks for kills. The supports are happy to get the XP and get their levels up, and Puck's happy to just get the extra gold from all those kills that they establish, which makes space for the Weaver, and it's a big chain reaction, basically. So this smoke that they
Speaking
attempted
about
to
the
top
Weaver?
lane... About the Weaver. There used to be one. We're looking at the top lane with a failed smoke gank with the Witchblade, but there was an actual bigger fight going on in the bot lane with the Chronosphere.
Yep. Both of the teams had the same idea. Only the thing is that Pari Parni, they thought their Weaver could escape from anything. You never expect Faceless Void rotations, but this is the deal. Every single Chrono you're gonna use off cooldown because you know in a big team fight, a Grave, a False Promise could save you, and your Chrono could be useless. So you just want to use it over and over again to get the lead, so that later on maybe you won't even need it as a spell.
Bottom tower taken down, not even by the DK but the Dragon form, but instead of Viper, just right-clicking it down rawly, moment by moment, hit by hit. Mind games inside their own jungle, finding some unwanted guests. Quick D ward coming out with that Cliff Sentry, giving them the vision on the obs. Pari Parni has finished off the top tower as well, so they do have a bit of flexibility around the map. But what's the play here?
So Mind Games right now, their play is overtake the bottom part of the map, so that you have the info necessary to farm the Blink Daggers on the DK and on the Tiny. That is the play. You're gonna be fighting on Chrono timings, and that is it, protecting your mid lane tower. That is the play. On the side of Pari Parni, the first thing you have to do, as we mentioned, is clear out the bottom part of the map so that the enemies don't have that much info. Once you've cleared that out, placed your vision there, and avoided any possible opponent's vision, then you have to be playing aggressive on the top part of the map. So Pari Parni pretty much need to do two things right now that are both not that easy with the levels and the items that they have to be able to stop the Blink Dagger timings. But make no mistake, if they don't slow these Blink Dagger timings down, they are gonna get absolutely demolished once Mind Games do get to that point.
I agree. This is going to be very hard for them if they don't keep up the aggression. And I think that's also where this Dazzle maybe comes into the picture, because Pari Parni already at this phase of the game, you got to find some use for this 3 Dazzle. What's the reason why they picked the hero, and where does it really shine? Is it through the sustain, where they just let Mind Games initiate on them over and over and over again, but they have the burst damage necessary to pick them off one by one? And then you have this Chronosphere, which is going to be very annoying to deal with at some stage of the game, because they have so much stuff to throw in. The Mortimer's Kisses, the Viper damage, which we already talked about in the draft, and now we got a double smoke. Both of them smoking up at the same time, and Tiny's finished off an Echo Saber, goes straight for the Marcy, tossed into the air, and with the help of Slayer, that's gonna be one Heaven Marcy down.
The problem is Mind Games know about this because the ward was there on the bottom lane. Yes, it didn't catch the smoke, but it caught a curd that was going there. Immediately after that, you smoke, because you pretty much know what Pari Parni's only play is: clear out the bottom lane, then move to top. And if you catch them on the transitions, on the movement towards the bottom lane or the movements on the top towards the top, you're gonna be very happy. So that's exactly what they do. And now we have 2 flying snakes that are killing the tower in the mid lane, opening up the map for once the Blink Daggers are out.
Hello.
Snakes, man.
Okay, you see them as snakes. Well, they are slivery. There we go with the Tiny initiation, but that's another DD. Tiny does get purged away by the Oracle. Mortimer's Kiss is flying as well, forcing out the Oracle. Marcy going in for the dive, though, but it's actually going to go down herself. Tiny still fighting against it with the Avalanche connecting up to 3, but the Cookie save comes out as well, and still taking down Bignum with the time lapse from Mukushi. The Chrono only lands onto the Dazzle, but that looks like that's going to be a very dead Dazzle. Immersion trying to pump up the heals as much as possible. We'll find out in 1, 2... You are alive. So 9 Pasha does get to keep his life intact. That's a couple of spells used by Mind Games as well for this one, but they did get an opening in the mid lane.
They do save their Tiny. That is the big thing. If Aincrad had died, Pari Parni would be okay with that, with losing the tower, because they'd be able to ramp up the aggression towards the top lane with the bottom lane being pushed out. But with the Tiny surviving, he's just gonna continue farming towards that blink, and it's much harder for Pari Parni to run in, because guess what? Avalanche is one of the best spells to stop an aggression, which as the only one that Pari Parni can actually muster with the lineup that they have.
And they see that this DK does not have a Blink Dagger yet, but this is going to be a very tight call. If he finishes off one more creep, Bignum's going to have his Blink Dagger. He's got it. He could basically just die happily now. Pari Parni, they're too late. They are too late.
would at least get him, you know, it would at least be okay for them if they could get the kill, but they're gonna be denied even this. So blink on Bignum, already mentioned it multiple times during this DPC season. If you have these jumping type heroes and you get the mid lane tower early, the enemies are gonna be in trouble because you have so many accesses to the jungles, to the triangles, and that is exactly what Mind Games want to do. A chaotic game. Don't allow Pari Parni to fight in an area. Just catch them one by one.
This is pretty optimistic from Mind Games, and it might actually backfire because they don't have a chrono, and they ran into the puck, and I think that's the worst possible target to go for if you do not have the chronosphere. And that's just a freebie. I mean, I don't think that should happen. At least in my books. But that's something that Pari Parni is happily gonna welcome. That is one more kill. They've got 5 now. You can actually start building something out of this.
That was a double support rotation towards the bottom lane. You see the Weaver as well there on vision for a second. If you Mind Games, that means you can continue farming. The blink dagger timing on the Tiny is approaching, and you know, losing a support close to the enemy tier 2, it is just not a problem. If one of the cores dies there, it's not really okay, but this, I think Mind Games are gonna be quite happy with it.
So we're now 17 minutes into this one with a fairly even situation, at least in terms of economy. But that economy difference is actually pretty big. Tiny is 150 gold short from a Blink Dagger. We've got Chrono up. We have a Blink DK support. We have the Dragon Lance Viper. Soon has a Manta style. This is dangerous time. These are dangerous times for Pari Parni. And this smoke is heading towards the bottom lane. They've already seen the puck in the lane. But will they find some extras? Munkushi is here. Heaven in the tree. Slayer slowing up. They actually pop the smokes right now. And they put the sentry down as well. The coil initiated onto the Faceless Void. But Dino Zovnik just playing the bait in the lane. And they are only going to find the Marcy with this one for now. Bignum isn't quite there with Mortimer's Kisses. Those mortars do show some vision, but nobody to be found. Just 1 kill.
So Pari Parni didn't manage to stop the Mind Games push towards the mid lane. They didn't manage to win the early game. Now the next step for them is to not bleed away too many kills, at least not too many core kills to the Blink Dagger timings. So if they can deal with that, it might not even matter that they screwed up the first 2 things, or that they didn't prevent the enemies from taking those. So let's see now. The next 5 to 10 minutes is gonna be crucial for them, because you want to be spread out on the map, but you always want to be connecting. So I think if you're Pari Parni, you want the fight to happen somewhere around the mid lane where you can get all of your heroes fast.
See what Mind Games has up on their minds right now. What kind of devious plans are they setting up in the comms? Are they living up to their name, or are they going to end up outplaying themselves? Pari Parni, they've had this Pasha Dazzle in this top lane for an eternity, backing away, and again it's going to be poor old Heaven. Death number 9. You are dead every 2 minutes. How does it? Harry, how does it feel to play a game where you're dead every 2 minutes?
I wouldn't know. I'm just so good at this game that it never happens.
You are a genius, my friend. That's the correct answer. This is a pretty tough game, man. Like, even if you're playing a 50-minute game or even a 60-minute game where you have died 20 times as a hero, you end up being the MVP of the game because you died in the right place, you did the right plays when you were needed to, you landed the spells which enabled your team to win. It doesn't feel so bad. But once you've died so many times this early into the game, I mean, you're not a creep. At least you're Marcy. That's the positive one. You're still a Marcy. She still doesn't get any weaker per death. She's still just as strong as she used to be. You have this long initiation, but you would want to have at least a couple extra points in dispose to max out. I mean, you have a 1.3 second stun, which you can upgrade to 2.1, which makes a huge difference. And you have a 2-second hex from the Dazzle and stuff like that.
It definitely can. It definitely can make a difference. But look at now, Mind Games, they're always trying to fight on the side lanes. I like this because this is what their lineup is good at. Whenever you have these catch lineups, you want to fight on the side lanes. You don't want to fight in the mid.
DK is ready to just dive into the action. Dinosauric lands the Chrono, but it's not onto the Dazzle. And they target the Oracle, but the Grave's going to be there. Bignum already hunting for the Dazzle on the back line. 10 seconds for the Dragon Form to be up. He's going to get hexed up. They already finished off Immersion. We knew he was already dead with all the spells flying in. And that Grave running out. But that's not going to be big enough finding a kill until now. Does he have the backup, though? He's being hunted currently, but it's a great bait. And Mokushi's going to be there, but the Dispose comes out first. Tiny tossing it in with a cookie on 2. Beautiful play with the Depressed Kid. Coming in with the coil. Will be able to take down Bignum. And surrounding them currently is 4 heroes from Pari Parni as Oracle buys back into this.
Chance for Pari now.
His Weaver alive, but the Timeless was there. Burn the Oracle ulti now. They're going to take down Slayer. Forcing out Einkrad as well on the run. Mukushi and Depressed Kid trying to do as much damage as possible. Now Dinosauric able to take that one, and Pedushara is the one to clear it out with a double kill as those Maelstrom procs and the poison ticking in is enough, and he finds Mukushi in the tree line. That makes it a huge victory. That's a dieback on the Oracle plus 4 deaths on top of that. That's basically a 5 for 2 in favor for Mind Games. That's absolutely huge for them. But man, Pari Parni, that must feel so bad after that.
For sure. They did find an opening, though, for their lineup to work. We're seeing some strengths of their lineup. If it's in open territory, we're not gonna get caught with multiple hero stuns. But even there, they commit a little bit too early. That is what I said in the draft, that this lineup is very hard to play because committing for heroes is always going to be hard. And also one thing, look at Pedoshara, man. This guy is gonna be a beast in this game. Though I have to say, I don't like the Orchid item choice. I'd rather see a BKB in this game, if I'm being completely honest, just because you have so many ways to save people who are getting Orchided.
True. But that does take 1 out of the 3 spells away. One, either the Oracle, or the Dazzle, or the Weaver. So if targeted on the Weaver, that's one thing. Or just, you know, just cast it on one of your enemies, and it's going to be out of play. Pasha. Oh, 1100 HP just ain't gonna do you any good, especially if there's a tiny. Add 2 more heroes on top of that. It's a very dead Pasha. That's been hunted down in this lane a couple times now. That's gonna be his 5th death of the game. We have 1 kill per minute for Mind Games currently. 23 minutes, 23 kills.
Want to keep it up because they're going for a smoke. This is the deal. If you kill 1 hero on the side lanes, then you can fight in the mid. I think Mind Games perfectly understand the way they need to play Dota in this game, and it's gonna make it impossible for Pari Parni to play this one.
Nice blink. Gonna catch the Oracle with this one. Immersion does go down, forcing Pari Parni back on the defensive and huddling on their side of the map. Mind Games, they're thinking Roshan here. They could do it.
They definitely could. I don't think they have to go for it right now, but they are pretty solid at it. And having the Chrono, it's going to be very hard for Pari Parni to come in, especially with 4 heroes. This Pari Parni lineup works if they're all together. And, you know, I think Mind Games got used to Pari Parni just being spread around the map and dodging fights.
Yeah. This is pretty solid stuff from them overall. It feels like Mind Games is a bit more prepared, at least for the time being. Is there a specific window that Pari Parni is looking for here with this Weaver? Because most of the time when I see a Weaver lineup that's playing from behind, you never reach your damage timer. The only thing you can do is split push, basically. Kind of like a Clinks would play, like a Nature's Prophet would play, trying to hit towers, but you need to get the tier 1s out of the way first. You're hitting tier 2s when the opponent is maybe pushing towards high ground, stuff like that, you know, just split pushing.
I think your job in fights is just to do some sort of damage so that Puck can finish people off. The goal of the Weaver in the fights is to survive for as long as possible. So I can't really say that there is a big timing where he is going to be doing immense amounts of damage. Looking at his farm, he's probably never going to get to that point. But just being a nuisance and surviving for a long time is going to be something that he's going to be gunning for.
They are pinging the top lane, the coil. Dispose will break it. There's again a DD rune on this goddamn Tiny. He's hacking them down, already down to half HP. There's still the time lapse and the BKB on the Weaver. And there we go. The ulti burn. Oh no!
Where are the saves?
Oh no! What the hell was that? Oh my god. Oh my god.
He thought that he was
Oh.
under vision. So I have to be the devil's advocate here. He thought he was under vision, and he had the time dilation on him for the Shikuchi. So as I mentioned, the time dilation is going to be a big spell this game. We are seeing that the Void is maxing it out. We usually see the spell taken once. Well, I think that Dinosaurik understands this game. It is probably his most important spell. So very nicely done from him. And the Weaver, you know, he just thought he was under vision, that he's not gonna escape, that he needs to try to use the time lapse to survive somehow. And yeah, it does look really bad.
Yeah, at least from our eyes. But I can see what he was going for. But I guess, I mean, you've got your teammates nearby. Maybe somebody has a saving ability. It just felt like there was just a moment where he just doesn't trust his teammates to save him at all. You've got the Grave, 4 points from Pasha. I mean, that's a long-range save. And Oracle had his ulti. They could have gotten close enough to just keep him alive until the
I think
point.
so too.
Might have been low HP, but it's already done and dusted. There's an Aegis Void way too far into the lane, so we're going to see both of the characters. Are they going to return the tips? This is the big thing. Did they just let him be? It feels like they're okay. They're just gonna let him be. If they had the opportunity to jump the faces, he's jumping in himself. He doesn't give a damn. And here comes Einkrad as well, backing up and takes down the Oracle, burns down the ulti on the Dazzle. The Grave's gonna be there as well, so you cannot get killed. Just gonna drop down to 1 HP. Still taken out. And Marcy gonna be going down next. So what a nice aggression play from the Faces Void to just aggressively go for the Chrono. I commend Dinosaurik for that. That's a fearless play because you know you're so far ahead that why the hell not? I mean, why not? I still have my ulti up from the last fight, so let's just go.
That was, in my eyes, that was a dangerous play that you don't have to make. We've seen a ton of those in the in Eastern Europe in this season when teams are just winning and then they just want to crush enemies even more or win the game faster than they necessarily have to, and then you give a chance to your enemies. That was a slight chance given to Pari Parni, but I guess mind games are just way too strong. We come back to the Pari Parni just don't have the damage, and I'm liking the press kid. I wanted to say I want to see a Dagon. You have to get it this game, and yeah, he's doing just that. I'm not sure if Kai and Sanj is gonna help you much, but you do want some added tank ability, and I guess the mana regen and having more mana is gonna help you in the long run.
The surprise factor of having an extra bit of burst damage might just be something that allows Pari Parni to get towards those bigger items for sure. Dagon is an expensive big item in itself, especially once you get to the 5 points, but that is it's a question of life and death, so might as well. They're gonna smoke up. Big Nump's gonna be popping all of them. Does the early damage. Dinosaurik goes in for the time lapse. I can look in for the Marcy. Will get the connection. Unleashes there with Shallow Grave. Marcy does find an escape route. So Mind Games don't get themselves the kill. Chrono is up in 25 seconds. DK's form is already burnt halfway. But Pari Parni, they want to play aggressive. They want to leave the safety of that tier 2 tower and keep pushing on.
The thing is, when you've gotten to a point where you're mind games and the enemies can't fight you in the mid lane, something that they've been trying to do for the entirety of the game, it's a problem. Okay, that's a really deep dive.
That is a pretty deep dive, but it does feel like they're pretty comfortable with it because here's why. The Chronosphere to the back line. Immersion down. Mokushi's dead as well. Dazzle to follow. You might have an Aeon Disc. You might have a Grave for yourself, but you're only delaying the inevitable, son. It's all over for you. Pasha onto the cliff. Does get Dinosaurik there momentarily, but he's got the shard. He's going to get his way out, back to the low ground. That's a 4-for-1 trade, and Mind Games just absolutely on fire. Harry, I don't know how you see it. I just can't see a win condition for Pari Parni anymore.
Yeah, I really am trying here.
I have no faith.
I'm trying my best, but I'm losing it. It's really, I think I've maybe lost it completely because, I'm not seeing Pari Parni having anything to do. Their lineup is good at split pushing. Split pushing is the best way when you cannot fight, when you can't go into enemies to at least force some mistakes from mind games. But I don't think you have the power necessary to spook mind games that you're gonna kill a hero that they're gonna be TPing out and TPing in and making some mistakes. So because of that, I'm thinking all of the chances are taken away right now.
Gaben says 3%. Gaben says 3% win probability. Any 3%ers there in Twitch chat? Any believers?
Only 1%ers. Only 1%ers because they've been listening to our predictions this whole season and they've gotten to that point, you know.
I hope there are. I hope there's somebody who actually listens to us, you know? I mean, we're here for a reason, but we're maybe here for the different reasons than you're thinking. But hey, Mind Games. They're moving towards bottom. They're looking towards that tier 2 tower. Potentially even high ground. 2 minutes from Roshan's minimum timer. Pari Parni, I think that that's a 2-minute grace period for them. Oh, after that, it just feels like if they can't contest Roshan, which I don't think they can unless a miracle happens. I mean, it is Dota. Miracles can happen. Miracles can play Dota. There's literally a player as well. These are the things that maybe Pari Parni is hoping. Mind Games makes some kind of weird mistake. We're only human after all.
For a mistake to happen, you have to force it out. With the puck TPing to the bottom lane, he's not gonna be with his team, and you're pretty much at the time where the enemies are gonna start rotating around the Roche pit, and Oracle is just dead.
4 TP. Yeah, well, they found immersion. Everybody else got the TP back home, so at least that's just an Oracle. You know, just an Oracle. But Big Num. Big Num with the big plays. Dino Zalfric with a really nice chrono. Has Marcy, has Weaver inside, but the BKB Mokushi able to turn this one around. And the damage just needs to kick in, but it's just a really desperate fight from Mokushi. Hit to Charles as well in the front. They did not have the Viper a moment ago, but there's the Orchid. Great does come out, keeps the puck alive. Marcy unleashing towards the front line. Wants something out of it. Slayer does get nuked out. Pari Parni able to get themselves 2 kills. Is this the power of the 3%? And is there still something coming out from Mind Games? Here comes Ironcrad. Oh, Tiny. Look at that. Tiny just hacking them. But the Hex is there. The buyback from the DK is coming up. The Dazzle does get silenced. The Depressed Kid on the other side of the high ground. But look at Petushara. Look at this Viper. They're all corroding. They've got Venom. They've got Poison flowing inside their veins. They're getting burnt and molten. And that is going to be 4 for 1 again in favor for Mind Games. This is just a massive runaway for Mind Games currently with 37 kills already, man.
Yeah, it is getting tough to watch. Pari Parni getting destroyed. I think you chase towards the bottom lane. You do not chase towards the mid, but it's easier to say it later. Yeah,
GG. That is basically Mind Games securing a time to breathe for a moment, because we don't know what's going to be happening later on today. But with that one victory, Pari Parni needs to score a victory later on today, because we've got 2 teams dropping out. And if you have a 1-0 score, you are guaranteeing yourselves at least a second round of tiebreakers, potentially from this one. But who knows? Who knows what's up with this one? But hey, a really good show from Mind Games in this one. Pari Parni a bit lacking. I guess we were waiting for something to kick in, but didn't quite get to witness it.
They came with an idea of how they want to play Dota, and they thought the enemies aren't going to be prepared for it. But I think Mind Games, the way that they changed up their draft, switched it up, put the Tiny into the mid lane. They picked the Faceless Void, not because of the chrono, but because of the time dilation. They understood pretty much what Pari Parni's strengths were, and they shut them down. They completely shut them down. So I think that is the big takeaway from this game. You tried to cheese them, and they were like 100% ready for you.
Looking at the schedule correctly here as well, we do have Mind Games playing a second game to follow this one. Mind Games are going to be facing off against Rune Eaters. We'll drop us into the camera for just a moment, and for some reason, obviously the score is showing 0-0 because we I already just managed to change the graphic for the next series. But hey, Mind Games taking the first game. What are your expectations for Rune Eaters? I mean, spicy team. They had the most wins out of these 3. So quick thoughts before we head over to a break and start looking towards the second game of the tiebreakers?
In my mind, Rune Eaters should be coming into this one as the favorites into the whole tiebreakers. I think that they have showed the most versatility, that they have shown that they can beat anyone. They are lacking consistency, but they had time to prepare for these two teams. And to be honest, Pari Parni and Mind Games haven't been looking so awesome, so it's much easier to prepare for them than, let's say, for outsiders. So I'm thinking Rune Eaters should have a good showing today.
All right, well, we're going to take a tiny break for now, and we will be coming back with the second tiebreaker game of this cycle. So we'll be back in just a bit.